Hi, welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of 2 active kids, and both my husband and I have full-time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner so that you might be able to do the same. This weekend, I am putting together a routine home maintenance checklist. I keep forgetting to do things, so I grabbed some farmhouse sticker books and I have 3 different sizes, the big, the classic, and then those little sheets. I grabbed some washi tape, and then I have a variety of pens. I have my Kelly Creates '05 fine liner pen. I have my Uniball 1, and I'm pretty sure this is a .7. And then I have 3 different colors of my dot tip markers. And of course, I have my 3 go-tos as well, 2 sizes of friction pins, and my Muji .38. I did go ahead and draw some marks and pencil in my routine maintenance, and I started by working from this list. However, there were a lot of things in our house that don't match up to this list. For example, we do not have a water softener or a pool, and we do live in a 4 season climate. So some of the things didn't quite apply, and there were other things that I really needed to add to the list. So that's why I decided to go ahead and do my own. I am not going crazy with the list, however, because I want to make sure that it's manageable and it will actually be things that I'm going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take my thicker fine liner pen and write in the title of my page. I just wanted it to be a little bit bolder, and I frequently go with either a .38, a .5, or a .7, but I really like this '05 from Kelly Creates. This size of pen nib is really helpful to make things look a little bolder, but it doesn't make you have to adjust your lettering to do so. A lot of the thicker pens, you really have to adjust how you write in order to make the lettering look correct because the nib is so thick and it's more like a marker tip. But that's why I like this '05 pen tip because I don't have to adjust my lettering. It just makes it easier, especially when I'm trying to trace letters that I already have down. So then I decided to use a slightly thinner pen, and I'm going with the 5 millimeter tip for the Uniball 1, and I am going to draw boxes in for spring, summer, fall, and winter. I debated on using the Muji .38 or the pen tip side of those dot markers, but I did decide that I wanted this slightly bolder look for my page. And as I was drawing these lines in, I realized why most of the time I just put things on the computer and print them out and then put them in my planner. It does take time to draw these things by hand and to kind of plan out your spacing and things like that. So normally I don't even take that time. I normally just do it in a Word document and then print it out from there. But I really want to do more handcrafted things in my planner. I like to look at them better. So there will be times when I don't have time to do this, but when I do have the time, I'm going to go ahead and do these things by hand just so I enjoy looking at them as I go through my planner. But this probably took me a little more than an hour, and that includes the time that I looked through that maintenance list and pulled a few things up on my computer just to see what else other people had on their maintenance lists. But really, a lot of the things did not apply to our house. And there are certain things that it would say, like, inspect your plumbing in your bathroom. Well, I use my bathroom every day. I use all 3 of the bathrooms in our house at least once a week. So I will notice those things. They're not things that I need to go looking for necessarily. I also left off things like replacing the water filter in the refrigerator because the refrigerator tells me when I need to replace those things. And as I'm writing this and looking at it on the screen, you can't tell a huge difference between the routine home maintenance text and spring, summer, fall, and winter text. But in person, you can definitely tell a difference between the tips of the pins. So I am glad that I took the time to use two different pins on this. And I was originally going to use my Uniball one to write down my tasks, but I decided to go ahead and use my friction pin. I am using a 7 millimeter here just for a little bit more boldness, but I just wanted the option to erase if I made a mistake instead of having to use my whiteout. The first three things that I am putting on my list are for daylight savings time changes. And those three things are change clocks, check smoke detectors, and change furnace filter. And I did go ahead and get those things done this week already, except for the change clocks, of course. But I am also relieved to have those written down for the fall so that I don't have to think about them later. Next, I'm going to jump over to my winter items. I only have a few things that I want to remind myself of, and that is to clean my oven, clean behind the appliances, and do a declutter in my clothing. And preferably, I'd like to do a decluttering of my kids' clothing as well, but they kind of need to be on board at this point. They're of the age where they should probably do it themselves and get used to it, but it just goes smoother if I help them. After I wrote out this list and before I edited this video, I did go ahead and clean out my clothes closet and my drawers, and I feel so much better when I do that. Then I jumped back over to spring just to list out all the things that I would like to get done in a timely manner. The first thing is hook up hoses. Normally, that takes me a while to remember to get those out, but I really need to get those out pretty quickly when it becomes spring. Then I want to clean and organize the garage so that it's ready for everything else. Clean off the front porch, clean the exterior light fixtures, put out our front porch furniture, clean the deck furniture, clean up our flower beds, mulch, and plant our garden. And pretty much that's the order that we need to do things in living in Ohio. The garden can't get planted much before Mother's Day. So, really, those other things can easily be done before then. And I am guessing that I will end up having to add some things as I go throughout the year. And that's okay with me. There is room to add, but I'd also like to not add a ton more to spring per se, just because there's already a lot going on there. But I feel like it helps me spread things out when I see it visually like this. So for the summer, I have pressure wash the exterior of our house, spray it with, I think it's called Wet and Forget, that's what I put down, but it helps the like green mossy stuff stay off of our siding. Wash the windows and the screens, check exterior for any needed maintenance, clean out the shed maintenance, seal our driveway every other year, clean the grill, and shampoo the carpets. And you may think that this is more of a winter item, but I like to shampoo the carpets when I can open the windows because I feel like the carpets dry faster in the summer. And if I clean the carpets in the winter, it just takes them forever to dry. So that's why that's a summer task for me. And then for fall, I am going to add inspect and clean dryer vent. I'm definitely very forgetful about that and I need to stay on top of it. Rake and remove leaves from drainage, clean up flower beds and garden, put the hoses away, and put away our porch furniture. And then the last thing that I thought about was to inspect our attic. And we don't do a very good job of staying on top of this. But literally, I looked at the list and was like, why don't I just put this in winter? There isn't a specific time of year when it needs to be done. It just needs to be done. And since I don't have very much going on in the winter, let's go ahead and put it there. And I could have stopped here and it would have been perfectly fine, but I did decide to go ahead and put some stickers down. And at first I could not figure out which one was the big and which one was the classic size sticker book here. And I was hoping that the classic size sticker book would have smaller stickers for the ones that I liked, but they ended up being the same size. So I was pulling from both books, but I decided to go ahead and use that quote that says home is wherever you are. And then I decided to go ahead and just use the greenery and not the florals. And I wanted to add decor, but I also wanted to leave some room in case I needed to add a few task items in. However, I wasn't worried about making sure my dots lined up if I do need to add a task. So I don't make sure to leave that completely open, if you know what I mean. But I did want to leave space in case I needed to add a task or two to one of the seasons. So, keeping in mind that I live in Ohio, what things do you think I left off of my list? I thought that we could kind of bounce ideas off of each other about what other things that you put on your list that I may not have on mine. There are a few things that my husband does that I didn't put on my list personally, and I let him take care of it, or we have our yard treated professionally, so I did not put that on my list either. But if there are things that you think that I left off, please let me know down below what I need to add to my list. I'm sure I left some things off. So I did decide to put some washi tape up near the title, and I wanted to make it a banner with the flag edges. And I thought that I could pull off a little trick where I put the washi tape on a piece of wax paper and could cut it with my hexagon punch, but it didn't quite work. The washi tape would come away from the wax paper. So, although it was a good theory, it didn't quite work for me. It did, however, make it so that I could tell where I needed to cut with my scissors so that I could make it even on each side. Normally, when I cut those flag ends, it's usually a little whopper jawed, and I prefer it to be closer to the middle if possible. And then I just grabbed my slice tool to cut off the edge next to the title. And then let's get the other side lined up and trimmed off as well. The wax paper does help here. That way I am not having to pull the washi tape up off of my title and possibly pulling some of the paper fibers up with it. So let's go ahead and find a home for this quote. And I just wanted to frame it with the greenery, especially since I don't have a lot of tasks listed in wintertime. But I also wanted the greenery to be incorporated, but not necessarily under the letters. So I tried to overlap the quote with the greenery so that the letters didn't overlap the greenery too much. I didn't do a very good job on the last word of R, but I do think it looks okay, and I really like the addition of that quote. It also will stop me from overfilling that square just because there's white space. The other decision that I made was to not put any of the greenery in the four season title boxes. So, spring, summer, fall, and winter, I wanted to make sure that there was no greenery in that box, just so that it was easier to see those things. I did debate on whether or not I was going to color in those boxes, the spring, summer, fall, and winter, but I did decide against that just because it seemed like a little bit of overkill. You did see me grab my tape gun because I must have tried to use that sticker somewhere else and decided not to because part of the sticker was not sticking, so I did just use my tape gun to stick that back down. And I continue to use my wax paper and my slice tool. I will link that slice tool down below. It has been a game changer. I'm really enjoying using it. It does not cut through my paper, but it cuts through the sticker pretty easily, and that includes the clear stickers. And I am shocked and amazed at how easy it is to freehand cut things, including straight lines. So let's get just a little bit more greenery on here, and then we're going to call this done and get it punched and into my planner. My biggest debate right now is whether I'm going to actually mark the things off as I complete them, or if I'm not going to write on it at all, or if I want to put some sort of page protector over top of it so that I can check it off and then wipe that off or replace that as I go. I could just do like a piece of vellum over top and mark those things off through the vellum. So I'll have to debate that a little bit more. I did take out that home decorative sheet, and I am just going to keep this routine home maintenance sheet up front so that it's easy to access as soon as I go to that section. But thanks for coming along with me today. I think I have a good starting point for this routine home maintenance list. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I hope you're having a great March, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!